So yesterday I had the opportunity to participate in Barbenheimer, which is of course seeing both Barbie and Oppenheimer in the same day. And in this video we're going to specifically discuss Oppenheimer and my thoughts on that film, which I'll start out from saying right from the beginning, this is a spectacular movie.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
It is arguably the best told story that we've seen this entire year, and it's honestly one of the best told stories I've seen in a long time. It's incredibly fascinating, and Christopher Nolan brings his usual trademark style where he doesn't tell the story linear. So you kind of start out with the ends, and then you learn more about the past, and it kind of jumps back and forth between the two. Really interesting way to tell the story, really keeps things at a nice pace and works incredibly well to the point where you kind of know what's happening because you're at the end, but you're seeing it happen. Very fascinating. All of the actors in this movie did a great job. There's always a phenomenal cast. Cillian Murphy, amazing as Oppenheimer. Robert Downey Jr. is in here, Matt Damon, Florence Pugh, Emily Blunt. The whole cast did a fantastic job. It's an amazing experience that way. Visually, as always, Christopher Nolan knocks it out of the park. He's known for avoiding the special effects as much as he can, and in this one he aims to have it practical, and it pays off because this movie looks amazing, and that really pays off when you get to the point where the bomb is actually set off, because when the bomb is set off, you really get to experience that, and it's amazing, both visually, the sound design of this whole film was amazing. The soundtrack in particular just brought an intensity to the movie that I don't think you could have gotten any other way. Without the soundtrack, this film would not be the same. And initially, I'd actually thought it was Hans Zimmer because Nolan works with Zimmer a lot, and it kind of had that same Zimmer feel, but it's actually, I'm going to butcher his name, but Ludwig Göransson. If you don't know him, he works on The Mandalorian. That's one of his more popular ones that you probably would recognize. And he did a phenomenal job. I mean, this is one of the better soundtracks that I've recognized in a movie in a long time. It really emphasized and took this film to the next level for me, so that was amazing. Nolan's direction is on point. I've heard a lot of people say this is his best movie. The only films that I think I would consider against this one for that would be Inception and The Dark Knight, two of his other absolute masterpieces. And so this is a phenomenal movie in just about every way. It has also to it some very positive messages, some very interesting messages that I think can be applied. One of the ones was involving theory. There's a line that they quote several times that says, theory can only take you so far, and ultimately, you have to act. You have to actually engage in something, and I think that that's a very good life lesson. The idea of theory only goes so far, thinking and theorizing, but eventually you do have to act. You have to find out for sure. And so I love that. I like movies that leave me with something. They give me something that sticks in my mind and is helpful in my own life. And so that was great about this. So on top of the fact that it's a well-told story, it's really entertaining, despite the fact that this is not an action movie. It's not a comedy movie. It doesn't have any of those simple things to write. It's dialogue. It's great dialogue. It's interesting characters, deep characters. You get to learn a lot about who they are, why they choose the things that they do, and it's amazing because of that. So I think that for a lot of people, you're going to enjoy this movie. I think if you're a fan of Nolan's other films, you're really going to like this movie. However, I do not think that this is going to be a movie for everybody. This is Nolan's, I believe it's his first rated R film that he's had a long time. I believe the last one he did rated R was Insomnia. And this is rated R for one specific reason. That is that there are two sequences in this film involving sex and nudity. One of those sequences is towards the beginning of the movie. The other one, I believe, is about halfway through. I'm not for sure on that. Being a 3-hour film, it's sometimes hard to judge where exactly you are. But there was a good chunk of the film before you got to that second part, and there was a good chunk of the film afterwards. So I want to say it's about halfway. My recommendation is if that's something that you don't like to view, which personally I don't, then watch out for any time in which case it's Cillian Murphy and Florence Pugh's character together. Not all of their interactions are that, but when they're together, that's when it happens, and so just be wary once that occurs on screen. Other than that, there's actually not much in this film that you need to worry about. I mean, it's intense in moments. There's a little bit of swearing. I know there was at least one F word that I remember hearing. There definitely may have been more. I wasn't fully focused on trying to figure that out and figure out how much swearing there was in it. For sure, there's one, but that's kind of the big thing, is that sex and nudity, the scene there. And for that purpose, obviously being rated R, this is not a film for younger viewers. It's not one that I would recommend for that. But for adults, I think this is one of the best movies you're going to see this year. I think this is easily one of the best films I've seen. I even consider this to be the best movie that I have watched this year. It's easily the best told film, and I love that about it. And for that purpose, I'm going to give this one an A. There's a couple things, obviously the sex and nudity, which I don't think were necessary in the movie. I think they could have still progressed the story and helped us understand what we needed to without actually showing it. But because of that, that's going to drop it from that A plus status. But ultimately, it's an amazing movie. I really enjoyed it. It was my personal favorite half of my Barbenheimer experience. But guys, have you had the chance to see Oppenheimer? If you haven't, I recommend that you do. If you have, let me know in the comments what you thought. Are you like me? Did you enjoy this movie? Do you think it's one of Nolan's best works? Or are you on the other side? Did you find something that you didn't like about it? Was there something that just kept you to be uninvested in the story and the characters being portrayed? Let us know. I want to hear your guys' thoughts. And as always, if you like this movie, please be sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you can see more content coming in the future.